Yo, what is up everyone? So today we're just going to be going over some four, or I guess technically 3 Volt builds that I like to use. Volt is actually like my most played. Yeah, Volt's my most played Warframe on here. I have 810 hours. I have like 1400 hours on like Steam is what it pops up as. I haven't been playing recently, but I just thought I've seen a lot of Volts, so here's some builds. So we can start with the solo speed. I like to call this my speedrunning build. So what the speedrunning build is for, I like to use it for exterminate missions. So let's say, or capture mission, capture fisher missions, or even sabotage, rescue, literally anything where you're just trying to get through it as quick as possible. So first, the good spot you can farm on Hepit or Uko for Lith, Meso, and Neo relics. This is where the build really shines. I'm gonna just do a little quick gameplay, then explain why I chose those things. So when I farm it, I like to pop generic, activate both my abilities, and then you just start going. And I normally average a run under a minute every time I do this farm. Kind of hard to focus, like to really farm it quick, and also go like really quick. But there's really not a lot to the build. The main thing that's a little different is I'm running infested mobility that helps me accelerate a lot quicker, which I'll explain just why it's so good. So you can see right here, I'll just give an example. So say I'm right here, I have no sprint build up right now. I'll even let my sprint run out here. So you can see in the bottom left there, it'll be right there. In the bottom right, I meant I have no sprint thing, and then with infested mobility, I can go that quick. Accelerating so quick is very important. There we go. Got a relic. That took a minute, and I waited like a couple seconds there, so you should be able to get at least 50 relics in an hour doing this if you're just raw farming them, which is just crazy to get 50 relics per hour. That is really why I like that, and it just helps speed up everything. Let's just look into this a little more, give some insight into why I chose things. Sprint boost for sprinting, prime sure-footed so you're never falling. Rush, more sprint speed. Then you just got your standard strength mods in there. Duration, obviously. Augur secrets. Arcane agility. You don't really need either arcanes. Arcane nullifier is nice because then you just always have your max energy. And then here I subsumed using the helmet. Infested mobility on there. It gives you much more parkour speed there, and also sprint speed. So it just doubles down and basically makes you way quicker. And yeah, that's basically the first one. Let's just go to the next one. This is an Eidolon build. Then again, none of this is like perfect. This is just something I kind of came up with. I don't really run Eidolon a whole lot, but I know this could work. I like prime sure-footed most of the time. Honestly, I should probably throw in with that forma there, but it's alright. Basically, you're just trying to get the electric shield to have good duration, and then some efficiency, and then just some tanky mods. And then I threw Hunter Adrenaline on there for just damage to energy. You could also throw Rage. It does the same thing. But the key things to this build are you just want duration, you want this casting speed, which honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, if you want even more casting speed, you don't really need the armor. Just throw natural talent on. Arcanes, Arcane Avenger, more crit chance is always nice. Arcane Nullifier is nice as well. Here's a little idea if you want to change it a little bit. Run Shock Trooper on there. If you want to subsume anything in there, I'd recommend subsuming Eclipse into either your 4th spot or your 2nd, most likely your 4th. I don't have Eclipse subsume, so I can't do that clearly. So let's say you want to do a build like that, which I'm talking about with Eclipse in there. Just run this, throw Eclipse in your 4th, That should be pretty good. So here's the next build. This is what I like to call just the, as you can see by the name, bye bye. It's basically just the nuke build. So I like to focus a lot more on energy with Volt, especially when I have a lot less efficiency, like in this build. And in here you can see more duration, focus, and range. Not as much on the strength because you don't need strength with his 4th ability. I zoomed Roar in there just for some extra damage because he does struggle a little bit. I guess I can just hop into an ESO real quick. This is typically where you'd use it. You'd use it in Elite Sanctuary Onslaught to nuke them and keep your efficiency up. The hardest part with this build is keeping your energy high enough. That is always the most difficult part. So let's hop in here. Alright, so I'm going to pop Roar. And then I'm just going to throw one out real quick and you can see what happens. It spreads out, and this is even a bad tile set for it because it's so spread out. And typically with Volt, you can see the duration of my 4th ability in the bottom right there when I activate it. So I'm gonna pop it here. I just like to jump up. You don't need to jump up, but I like to. Makes it look cool. So yeah, you can see it does pretty solid. Of course, this tile set, like I said, is so spread out. It doesn't work as well because how his ability works, if you look here, it has an effect radius right there of 18.8 meters. That means any enemies within that, they'll combine the damage and it just multiplies to some crazy amounts. So if there's 4 enemies together, they'll each like tick off of each other and leech, so it'll basically means they're taking 4 times damage because they're all inflicting each other with the other sets of it. So that works really well against Corpus nuking. That's mainly what you use it for. It's alright against Infested. Grenier it's the weakest against, but that's kind of obvious since they have the Ferrite armor. Alright. And then now I have the last 2 builds. These are practically the same thing here. So what these are just a big focus on damage. So you're just going for pure damage buffing. So I'm running Roar and Shock along with Shock Trooper, so you get a big boost to your electricity. So you can see the difference between these 2 builds here. This one has less efficiency. This one right here has less efficiency, as you can tell. But actually, I don't know why power donations in there. That shouldn't be in there. But this one is less efficiency, but more duration. And that's for the energized munitions, and I call this my arbitration build because with arbitrations normally when you're farming them you run a Kuva Ogress. Let me just show you guys why this build's really good for this. So and it's perfect, and it's a defense time. So on a defense with the Kuva Ogress, what you're gonna do is you're just gonna sit there and you're just gonna spam that everywhere with your energized munitions. And what that does is basically makes it so every 1 in 4 of your shots will actually take away ammo. And what Shock Trooper does as well, I can show that. Yeah. So Shock Trooper, you hold down your shock ability, and you can see in the top right now I have a 2-minute buff. But what that does is it inflicts extra damage, basically free damage, that is electricity. And now watch as I shoot. I'm shooting the gun. I just lost ammo there. I'm not losing ammo. Lost ammo there. So you're basically adding 4 times more ammo into your build with this, while also buffing your damage. And you don't really need big damage with this build because normally you're going to be running it in a group, so you'll have like another Saren buffing your damage, a Rhino. That's typically what it's for. And as you can see, I cleared that in a minute, and with the full group that'd be a lot quicker. But other than that, that's basically all the builds you'll need for Volt. I can't really think of anything else that he can be used for. Typically, there are a lot of builds that require him to be using a shield. I just normally, so say you want to use your electric shield, obviously, to get that extra damage buff. And then with shock, with the group, he's normally just used as a buffer, Volt is. That's the biggest build that I see him used in. Other than that, his speed build, nuking, he isn't really good enough in. But honestly, that's really all there is to Volt. I'll go back through it quick again if you guys want to see. You can just ignore arcanes. Arcanes aren't the most important thing ever, really. So here's a speed build. Eidolon build for mainly just focusing on your quick placements of those shields. Here's your nuke build for ESO or Corpus, mainly things. Obviously you want these to be all, anything you see here you want it to be maxed. If I don't have it maxed, like I said, I don't play the game a crazy lot. Then here's your damage builds. You can swap between the two. This is the arbitration one. This is just the raw damage, buff yourself more than your teammate type of thing there. And yeah, honestly, that's about it. If you guys liked it, just throw it a like, maybe throw me a sub, try to help me out. And yeah, about it. Thank you for watching.